Welcome everyone to my chess stream here on lichess and Twitch. We're International Master William Paschall. We're starting with blitz and classical here on lichess. Let me get the board up and we're going to get started. So my OBS likes to make the board disappear basically sometimes after everything's all set there. It looks good. Alright, we're going to be up and running in a second. Make sure this is centered. Welcome everyone, it's Tuesday morning. I'm streaming as usual from Budapest, Hungary. So we're all set to go. We have challenges from Satistroll, Mule Skinner, and King Wiki. Guys, if you are new to the stream and you'd like to challenge me, make sure the challenge is between 5 and 8 minutes with a small increment. I am willing to play one more Chess 960 game in addition to the challenge from Satistroll. You see the die here. That means Chess 960. And that means that that's the first game. First in the list. Alright, let's get started. Satistroll, welcome. We've got another challenge from Franco, who played the Mora against me yesterday. That was an interesting game. So Satistroll, another position that looks not that alien. The other day, yesterday, we played... I thought a starting position that was fairly similar to normal chess. This one also, I mean, we've got the knight on a1 though. That's always a problem. Hard to get that piece in the game. Alright, Satistroll. Take your time and pick a good first move. Siroche, welcome. Good morning to the stream, guys. I hope you enjoyed your Halloween yesterday. Pumpkin, he was sick. He had to go out to the world of the trash. But all right, d4. Let's try something speculative, maybe. No, let's not say we did. I've got to play classically here with d5. I feel like there's no good Indian defense in this position. I mean, what am I gonna do? E6 maybe would be a move, but I'm not in love with it. I think we need to get a little bit of a grip on the center with d5. Frank Homba, you analyzed our game yesterday, unfortunately, and you never had anything. Well, yeah, I analyzed it too, and there was nothing like you missed blatantly, you know, great move or anything. Yeah, I mean, you maybe had a slightly more accurate move here or there, but, well, there were some lines. You had knight a4 in one moment, what I was talking about, but it wasn't that bad for me. I was never really in trouble. Interesting Smith-Morra yesterday. But actually, Fran, I mean, I think that b4 is a pretty speculative variation for white, and probably should play something else. Okay, here, yeah, we're getting the knights in the game. He's threatening e4. And that's pretty serious. I'm going to play, how about a solid Caro-Kann type of thing? If I do that, though, yeah, how's our queen going to get it? Our queen's going to have to slide over to b8. I think that's the way we're going to do it. We have a lot of pieces that have to funnel out this diagonal here. Like, alright. Well, the tactical justification is that he can't play e4 because I'll take on g3 and then take his e4 pawn off. Still have my spoon here and my coffee. King Wiki, Siroche. Welcome, guys. So, well, we've got a little over 2 weeks and I'm going to be playing a tournament in Harkine. So, I'm a little bit starting to think about my opening play for that tournament that's coming up. Okay, it's 5-5 here, guys. I've been chattering, but this is a fairly fast time control. I can't just take my time. He's building up for e4. It looks really good. This is a nice move, f3, supporting d4, supporting e4. I can't stop him from... It looks like I can't stop him from playing this. That's serious. I'm going to have to, like, adopt a French type of structure. Man, this looks pretty gross for black, honestly. I just played f6 to get my own bishop in the game. But white is better. Maybe c6 was too hesitant. Looks like white has the upper hand in the center with e4. I mean, it's not like devastating. I also have to watch out for knight invasions. I just realized, like, here and here, g7 is kind of a weak point in my position. Don't want to give up the center, peoples. You don't want to give up the center. e5. Ooh, e5 looks a little risky, opening it up so early. Maybe knight d6. Knight d6, e5. That's getting a little bit scary. Yeah, I can't allow knight d6, e5, I don't think. And, well, I could take an e5, actually, maybe. Yeah, actually, I'm having hallucinations, which is not good. Hallucinations not good. Yeah, knight d6, e5, take, and he can kind of hold that e5 pawn, it appears, with f4. I'm not sure that's good for me. Okay, so we calmly try to analyze the situation. We have some problems here. I mean, I really like to play knight to d6. I don't want to give up the center. Process of elimination. Ooh, this is pretty tough. Maybe something kind of subtle, like bishop c7, queen b8. This looks slow. He's even threatening f4 here. Alright, I'm going to go for this. This is pretty risky, but since I'm not developed, but I'm going for trades. I'm basically trying to get rid of a bad piece, first of all, for a good piece. And relieve the cramp in my position by exchanging pieces. This, I think, has a solid fundamental basis. Bad knight for a good knight, and cramped position, exchange pieces. We could have a slight tactical problem. Knight takes f4, bishop takes f4, knight h5, but we have the resource there, bishop h6. So it appears we're okay in that line. White is somewhat better here, I guess. But nothing earth-shaking going on. The crazy opening Tuesday, Lord Auric. Crazy opening Tuesday. No, that's Wednesday. I think when I first started this, did we come up with some idea for Tuesday? All right, guys, I'm ready to roll up my sleeves and get to work here. So I've got a tournament coming up on the 17th of November. It's going to be good. Not real thrilled about the fact that there's 2 double rounds, 2 of the middle rounds. It's going to be tough, but with this modern time control of 90 minutes, it's still like not as long a game as in the old days. Games are typically 5 hours, whereas when I first started playing chess, they, in serious tournaments, they went as long as 8 hours. So, I mean, that's a big difference. I've told the story countless times about the 2 8-hour games I played in one day, back to back. I would prefer the old time control, though, honestly. You guys know I like to take my time and really analyze at a leisurely pace. And here, the modern chess, the 90-minute time controls are pretty fast. But I can adapt because, I played a lot of club tournaments in my career, and I'm used to things like game 40, game 60, game 90. I didn't play only classical time controls all my life, so now he's opening the queen. I'm a little concerned about this pawn on h7, pawn on g7. With knight d6 looks like he's threatening e5. Is that the idea? e5 with the queen supporting it. Still knight h5 is possible. Yeah. So queen b8. I mean, anyway, he's going to have knight h5. I think I should stop knight h5 probably. Stopping knight h5 and preparing to like castle seems like a rational thing to do. Not a very exciting one square move, but white has the better center, so be it. Kind of Caro-Kann type of defense here. Not a lot going on, and the problem is this fast time control. Chess Knight 60 is really hard. I mean, you really have to start thinking on the first move, and that's why it's not blitz. You know, chess, blitz, chess. We can reel off 9 or 10 or 15 or 20 moves, opening theory, if you know enough, or at least just play quickly in a position you're familiar with. In Chess 960, we're on our own on move 1. So look, every single time the Satis Troll and I play, we're like in time pressure on move 10 or move 15. We are relatively slow players, Satis Troll and I. I mean, at least when we're taking our time here on the stream, and it's a little ridiculous to be like in time pressure on move 10, but it is hard. Try to play the best move. Maybe with the Chess 960 it would be better to have a bigger increment, like 10 seconds or something. Fortunately, my knight on c8 protects the e7 pawn. This was one of the things I was really kind of banking on. Because if not, I couldn't castle here. And I think castling is essential. I always like try to put the king on the castle square, but I have to put it on the rook, which is bizarre, but that's the way it works. So we are castled. White has more space. I guess white is better. Very little argument for me. Yeah. Now, not a lot of choices. It seems like all my moves are forced. Not too many choices there. Yeah, I think a 10-second increment would be better. Maybe, but you know, usually we're playing 8-minute, not, you know, not the, get the knight out of here, man. Where's the knight going? Usually Satis Trolls challenge me to some kind of longer initial time control, I'm thinking. Now, bishop a5 check, probably a silly move. I think he has king f2. I'm not really sure. I want to stick my bishop out there on a5 without a good reason. Anyway, my queen is just bad on a8. Dvoretsky passed away recently. In his lifetime, before he departed us, he did impart on me this principle that if you don't know what to do, improve your worst piece. It's pretty good practical advice. Now what? I like these rooks in the center. He's castled. So it degenerates to what is nothing more than a blitz game here. Finally I settled for e7. I like the d6 square, but it's, I think, a matter of getting rid of the knight on h4 for one thing. And rook e1. I want to be really careful with that knight. I could play g5, but it's extremely weakening. And that's a kg move by black. I like that, knight g2. Man, that's kind of a tough move. Wow, I almost flagged. I guess I should just go ahead and play like e5 at some point. Troll lost on time. I almost lost on time. Now Troll lost on time. I mean, what should I do? Like offer a draw? Because we're both like gonna lose on time. Okay, so it's like still about equal now. Although on paper, white still has a better center. Yeah, it's pretty hard to play Chess 960 in this time control. And the positions are usually closed. Mule Skinner. Yeah, it's chess 960. You think that 960 is good for your chess? I don't see any reason how it can't be. I mean, the only question about it would be, you know, its relative value to other training methods. Okay, so back to real chess. You know, is it cost effective in terms of time? You know, are you getting enough practice value for your money? That's the only question. Mule Skinner, master of the closed position. French defense is tough because it's very hard to get an open game against the French. And I play both open and closed games, but honestly, I think I prefer playing open positions. I never really realized how much I prefer open positions until I started doing the stream. Well, first of all, I think the tactics, honestly, are easier than strategic play. It comes more easily, it feels more natural. With positional play, strategy, closed positions, maneuvering, it takes a lot of work, a lot of thought, a lot of work. Whereas for me, tactics and open games, calculation is more like free-flowing and fast-flowing. That's a pretty early exchange on d4 there, Mule Skinner. I mean, this may be theory, but I think that normally black keeps the tension there. We had a game with Kyrgios with queen b6, or maybe he played f6 first. And we had another game with FIDE Master Strength here on the stream in this line. Oh, that was a weird game, by the way. You guys might remember I had a game of FIDE Master Strength last week where I brutally crushed him with like bishop takes h7, this Morphy sacrifice, and he could have played like king takes h7, king h6 with the advantage probably. That's pretty rare. You do like a bishop takes h7, the guy can walk his king to h6. But the computer later pointed that out. Now, interesting move a5 from Mule Skinner. I don't know. I don't really get it. I mean, I could see if I played a3 and you play like a4 and you like to play like knight a5 or something and in the weak squares like b3. But here I haven't played a3. It seems a little slow for black. I'm going to go with the standard recipe. The standard recipe. h4. When in doubt, just play h4 randomly. Well, it's not a strange idea in the French. We have a space advantage on that side. And you see Morozevich and players like Shirov playing h4, h5 almost at random in like the Winnower and other lines. So anytime you have a big space advantage on the king side, h4, h5, it not only grabs space but also opens the rook on h1. Oh, Gladys Troll said he misclicked bishop e3. He meant to play bishop f2. But I don't think it matters, does it? A whole lot? Is that really a big difference, Gladys Troll? I mean, I think the final position there was perfectly okay. The real issue is that we don't have enough time. Next time, Troll, if you challenge me to chess 960, you can challenge me to like 8-3, or if you challenge me to 5, you can add a 10-second time delay for the chess 960. I think that we'll say that, okay? I mean, I'm normally not doing anything more than a 5-second time delay, but I think for chess 960, if we're playing a fast time control like 5 minutes, let's make an exception and play with a 10-second increment there. Because the positions are usually very, very complicated and very alien. So if anybody else wants to play, if I can talk properly here, if anyone else wants to play Chess 960, feel free to challenge me. I'll play one more game during the stream today. Samuel Skinner, interesting plan, a5, a4. This feels like you're violating some fundamental principle, but I see you have some point. I think it's interesting. a3. I can play a3 here. And I was just talking about how maybe I was debating with myself whether a3, is actually a mistake or is actually a good move. Kind of a tough call. If I start playing on the queen side, do I really want to do that? I think not, I think I want to play on the king side here. I want to play on the king side. Bishop d3 looks fine, for example. Developing my pieces. What about that? Bishop d3. Is there anything he can do? He could play like queen b6 there. That concerns me a little bit. Let's play king f2. We're going to get out of here before anything happens, like queen b6. And this is a way of sort of castling. This is a really bizarre position, I understand. But my can't talk, tongue-tied, they say. So my logic is that if I play something like bishop d3, black can play queen b6. And suddenly it's very awkward for me to defend my pawn on d4. Yeah, I don't want to open your rook. Your rook, that's a dangerous pawn on a3, but I'm going to take my chances because this game is most likely going to be decided in the middle game. I'm not sure this is the right move. Maybe I should have taken. f6? Wow. All right. Interesting. We're just coming for a little visit over here. You can't get me. You can't get me. The good old computer walk to h6. Right, usually it's g6, the king walk. Speaking of king walks. But in that game, it was h6. It's hard for him with my space advantage for him to attack my king on g3. This is sort of like the safest square for my king. Sort of. It's the place where the king doesn't get in the way of anything, and it's relatively safe there. And now we're ready for some business. Bishop g5 is a strong positional move. But I think this is no time for positional play. This is probably no time for positional play. We really, we want to play tactical chess. Rook odds, basically. We're playing rook odds. But he has no pieces too. These pieces are not in the game. My rook is bad, but his pieces are not in the game as well. The writing is on the wall. We've secured the center. We have a space advantage. My rook is not trapped on a1 forever. And knight d to b4 actually takes pressure off the center. So I'm not at all sorry about that. Yeah, so b6, positional move. Knight e2. Bishop a6, knight f4. And then, like, also knight g5 is interesting here. Let's get all the pieces in the game. This is exciting, isn't it? Chef Masta, you disconnected yesterday. I've not played you in a while. Oh, you're sorry you disconnected. Don't worry, man. I mean, I'm sorry you disconnected. King Wiki, Kyriakos is here. Actually, he's enjoying this game now. He likes this variation for black. The base of the pawn chain at e6. that could be an issue. Okay, now there's this issue with my king here on this diagonal. Anyway, I think knight f4. I'm not worried about queen c3. I was worried about it, but I have it covered. What? How can you do that here? That's why I put my knight on f4, so you can't do that. And you're going to try to do it anyway. Wow. Well, I think you just donated a piece. I mean, worst case scenario, I can play king f2. Though there he has e5, probably. Rook e1 is probably interesting. But he's going to play bishop d6. So I think, yeah, I need to get out of here now. We need to get out of here now while the getting out is good. Interesting piece sacrifice. I don't believe it can be enough. But I didn't think black was so desperate that he had to actually sacrifice a piece there. There had to be some kind of safe move. Take, knight takes d5. There's all sorts of checks and stuff, but I'm not sure how dangerous they are. We have other moves too. Knight takes e5, pawn takes e5, queen h5 check. He has to run away. Wow. It's the full-on piece sacrifice. I guess knight e2 looks like the safest move. And then he has a very powerful pawn at e4 coming. Take, knight d3, take. It's pretty amazing. All sorts of possibilities here, but I feel like I should take the pawn. Take. I mean, I don't know, man. I don't see exactly what you got. in this position. The center duo is just too dangerous. I mean, I really have to eliminate this. That's a check, but one check. Mule Skinner suddenly went from strategic player to tactician. I was thinking about what else. I don't know. What other variations were possible for black there? I guess take bishop b7. But what does that do? He couldn't do that because he would simply... No, the bishop's on e7. I guess I was looking at that line. Now, obviously, king takes is dangerous. I have to take this way. Excuse me, guys. I don't know. Wow. Pinning my king. Bishop e4. There's no reason to panic, though. Queen d2, maybe? Hitting the loose knight. Helps if your moves come with tempo. Mule Skinner is brutal with the tactics. Now this has to be winning for me now. He doesn't have any kind of threats. I guess I should just trade pieces. Is there any threats for me, though? Yeah, I just take... I have bishop d5 check. A little calculation goes a long way, I guess. I'm not sure if this is best move or not. Does he have some sort of threat? Queen d2 check. Wow, he's fast. Damn. You kidding me? You actually blundered. Man. Tough fight, Mule Skinner. Interesting game. If you didn't sacrifice a piece, I don't know, I would be scared. Scary enough when you're down a piece. So King Wiki, we're playing 8-3. That was a sort of adventurous game, wasn't it, guys? Not your typical boring Slav type of position. That's why I love playing e4. Chef Mets is any interesting anecdotes where you were annoyed with your opponent's mannerisms, behavior? Oh, there's too many to count. The worst is kicking my feet under. My biggest pet peeve is kicking my feet under the table. There was a time when I had to actually ask this guy Volokitin, who's actually 2,700 now. He was a kid at the time. He was like 15 when I played him. He actually like put his feet under my chair, and intentionally. The problem was that he was underage, you know, so I couldn't like punch him in the face or something. But I had to go to the arbiter and actually ask her to ask him to physically remove his feet from under my chair. After I, you know, this is after like 10 minutes of like giving him dirty looks and like kicking his feet like under my chair. I had to actually ask the arbiter to remove his feet from under my chair. There's a lot of gamesmanship and weird stuff that some of my opponents have done. Yeah, you encounter all kinds of weird stuff. Alright, we are white in a classical Sicilian. Yeah, that happened on a number of occasions. It also happened with this guy Milo Riverby in a World Open last round game. He later would like claim that I was kicking his feet, but he's like Doc Martens, like huge, gigantic Doc Martens under my chair, and later it was a tense like last round money game at the World Open, and later on he would like claim online that I was like kicking his feet, but of course I was kicking his feet because they were under my chair, you know, like all the way spread across the table, like on the other side. So it's pretty hard not to kick the other guy's feet if they're under your chair, all the way across the table on the other side. So yeah, you get all kinds of weird things from people staring at you. We've had that a lot. I used to be much more sensitive than I am now. I mellowed out a little bit about it. A6 here. I was kind of hoping for knight to g4 when I would play bishop g5. That's a fun variation. Well, look, Keaton definitely doesn't look friendly. He's not friendly, dude. He was trained to be like unsportsmanlike or something, I guess. But I lost that game. It was really annoying. He definitely unsettled me with this stupid dispute about his feet. And that's the goal, you know, to try to like upset the opponent a little bit if you can, psychologically. So, I don't know, you know, that's how he was when he was 15. I don't know how he is now, but it was ridiculous. Boris Kryman was actually the first one to do it against me. Also not really a favorite person of mine, but he was terrible when he was a child, behavior-wise. He kind of isn't playing chess much anymore, I guess, but this is a Russian-American GM who was a kind of talented prodigy. And he did the same thing. He was like 13 though. I mean 13 or 14, really young. And that was the first time I wanted to like punch someone at the board. But again, I would have gotten arrested because I was like 20 at the time or something. So yeah, these kids under 18 feel like they can do whatever they want with impunity when you're an adult because there's no recourse, you know. You can't like assault them or something. If we were both underage, maybe I would have like started a shoving match with him or something. That's very mature. No, but seriously, Boris Kryman, Volokitin, Milo Riverby, these guys specialized in kicking the feet under the table. And, you know, I don't know, it's kind of a personal thing. I'm very, not all people are like this, and it depends what culture you come from. But I'm very defensive about my personal space. I don't like other people who aren't really close to me, um, you know, being in my personal space. Everybody's a little bit different, and everybody, personally and personality-wise and culture-wise, is a little bit different as far as personal space goes. But that for me, that's definitely, that was one of the worst. The kicking the feet under the table, staring at you, offering insensitive draw offers. There's a lot of things that you can do if you want to be unsportsmanlike and annoy your opponent. What do I do here though? I'm just kind of stalling, guys. Not because I'm really distracted. I just really don't know what I'm supposed to play in this position after a6. I could just, most people would just transpose to the English attack with f3. But that wasn't really my intention. It wasn't really my intention to transpose to the English attack. I guess we could play a lame move like bishop e2. f4 is interesting, though. Let's try f4. I've never seen this position before, this people. What's that? I'm not talking about assaulting grown-ups. I'm talking about assaulting kids, you know? I'm talking about if I was 15 and another 15-year-old assaulted me, I could defend myself, you know? But it's annoying to be an adult and have a little kid, like, kicking your feet. And, you can't do anything. They can take advantage of the fact that you can't do anything. So, I was joking with... Actually, a similar situation came up with, like, John Fedorovich with Nakamura when he was a little kid. He was, like, 14. And he told, in the middle of the game, during some dispute, he told Fedorovich, like, F you. And Fedorovich was, like, shocked. This is, like, a 13-year-old kid telling him to F off. And he didn't know what to do. He was like, man, if he was an adult, I would have punched him right there. And what he did was he told him, well, I'll beat up your dad. If you ever say that again, I'll beat up your dad. That was what he said. Anyway, it was a good comeback. Here, queen f3. Now we're back in book. So I guess the beat up your dad threat would have been good against Kryman. It's not really my style, though. As you can imagine. I'm pretty feisty, though. I'm not a person who takes a lot of abuse. Okay, so queen f3, bishop e7. Here, castle's queenside, I guess, main line. Great, I'll beat up your dad, but it was particularly relevant to the Nakamura, Fedorovich dispute, because Nakamura's dad is highly volatile and annoying. King Wiki, what are you doing? I like Sunil, but he's a well-known figure. He wasn't just a random dad. I mean, he told him, I'll beat up your dad. I'll beat up Sunil, who I've known for 20 years, It's not like just a random threat to beat up some stranger's dad. This is a particular person. Can we do a take back? Yeah. So I'm going to propose a take back here. But yeah, it was a good question. There's a lot of bad gamesmanship in chess and all sports, I imagine. But when you're interpersonally playing against one other human being at the board. There's a lot of strange things that can happen. Bishop d7 now. I suppose g4 here. Take. We can sack an exchange or something. It's probably best to do rook g1 first. Okay, now serious questions. Where does one start on the path to becoming a better chess player from complete novice? That is highly dependent. That is highly dependent on your, your personality, how much time you have, whether you have time to play in tournaments. I think you should play in tournaments, and I think you should practice online, and I think you should study the game seriously in books and with computer programs. I mean, I think it has to be a balance between actually playing and studying the game. That's the key. It's not enough to just play, you have to study too, and it's not enough to just study the game at home. Never go to a tournament. I get a lot of people lately asking to take lessons, but they don't go to tournaments, and this is kind of a problem, honestly. It's really hard to improve without playing long games, and a lot of people think that they can become masters without taking the time out to play tournament chess. But I think that's, if not a complete fallacy, it's unrealistic. A lot of people will contact me and be interested in taking lessons, but they don't want to devote the time, to going to tournaments, playing long games. They think they can just play some blitz games online and become like a master. It doesn't usually work like that. You really need to put the time in. Now, knight b4, interesting move. He wants to do rook takes c3. I would imagine king b1, queen a5, knight b3, king b1, and he sacks the exchange, but then he's got no attack there. King b1 is a useful move anyway. Maybe knight b4 was stronger than I thought, though. He has another way to play this. I did give him a take back in the interest of an interesting game. I don't want to just take a free piece and win the game like that at move 10 or whatever. I wish I could go to tourneys, but I live in Canada. I love it. Okay, I've never lived in Canada. I guess a lot of regions are very isolated, but there have to be. I mean, there's still have to be tournaments in Canada, even if it's just a chess club, and there's like a once a week game. I mean, there's got to be something. I had a guy contact me about lessons recently, and he's living in a city that I know, and actually he's never investigated the possibility of playing live, in that place where I know people and I know tournaments exist. This looks a little bit over the top, King Wiki. I mean, I don't quite believe you here. You're sacrificing two pieces, and I don't think you have enough attack. We can just walk away. I saw this. He will get the e4 pawn. Actually, this is a little scary. Rook a1. Yeah, rook a1 is fine. Yeah, even if it's just a chess club in the basement of the local community center and you play one game a week, I mean, something, you need to play long games. And if not, then you play longer games online, on a chess site like lichess or ICC or whatever. But it's not enough to just play blitz, and you have to actually study the game. So that means real magazines, books, online videos, and not just online videos. Not to take away from my own video channel, Video Chess Training on YouTube, but that's not enough. You really need to study proper chess books, I think. So there's a lot of things you can do. This is a key move, knight b3, saving me from, losing this pawn on e4 with, like, for free, basically. No more takebacks now. I'm down to 52 seconds. We had a little bit of entertainment, but I'm going to stop the takebacks now. Guys, I asked if you challenge me to play casual because I am commentating. I have had a hard time justifying rated games playing under these conditions. So the other thing is that I ask if anybody challenges me, make sure that it's like an established rating for your account. What's that? Gladys Troll? I have a chess club in my basement. That's what you tell them. Dude, that's kind of creepy. You're being kind of creepy there, Troll. I have a chess club in my basement. You want to come see? Bishop d4. Yeah, I'm a nice guy, but yeah, you guys got me upset thinking about the foot kicking under the table. Volokhin, I'll never really be able to forgive him for that. That's so cheap. The guy's already like 100 rating points higher than me or more, and he's like kicking my feet under the table for a little extra bonus. I think that certain players have been trained to maybe consciously, by their trainers or whoever, consciously try to disrupt their opponents. Or maybe they just learned it on their own. But you have to learn how to tune things out at the same time. Concentration is very, very vital. The best games I've ever played were games where I literally like zoned into the situation where I literally like forgot I was in a physical space, in a physical room. I just concentrated completely and forgot everything around me, all the surroundings around me, like a total kind of meditative state. If you can reach that kind of meditative state while you're playing chess, you're going to have very, very good results. But that's not easy. I imagine that something like yoga or meditation is probably hugely beneficial for chess players. King Wiki, you're kind of being persistent here. You are down a rook at last count, but I don't blame you for not resigning with that beautiful pawn center you have. I think that I suspect that King Wiki could have tried Queen A5 instead of Rook takes C3. Then I guess I just play A3. But that would have been interesting, though, if we analyze, what might have happened. The exchange sacrifice that King Wiki did in this game. Sorry if I'm just all over the map, guys, but I'm trying to cover all the bases here conversation-wise. Yeah, I think King Wiki could have tried something other than the sacrifice. We have another sacrifice last game or 2 games ago with who was it in the French? Mule Slayer? Mule Skinner. I just think that a lot of us like to make romantic sacrifices, but the sad reality is that I found it's nice to make sacrifices, it's fun to make sacrifices, but the sad reality is that most sacrifices don't work. And it's like 80% of cases that's the case. So we want to like sacrifice the exchange, we want to sacrifice a piece, but unfortunately it's hard to be a tactician because like 80%, it seems, this is just a random figure I'm picking out of my head, it seems like 80% of the time you just have to play boring chess. And I don't like to play boring chess, but I have learned this the hard way that sacrifices like this Rook takes C3, most of the time they're the exception, not the rule. Don't so be careful. Don't become like obsessed with making fancy sacrifices. if it's not necessary. Usually my catchphrase is that most sacrifices don't work, so make sure it works. Kyrgios, we have had some good games where he played white in the King's Indian. I want to try maybe something a little bit different. What do you think of players wearing sunglasses? I've done it. I've done it quite a bit, and I don't think that that's, you know, immoral or anything like that, in my opinion. Back in the day when it was still allowed by the rules, I also listened to my Walkman or MP3 player at the board, and as long as the other guy couldn't hear it, I thought that was also okay. I mean, these are things that are not, you know, directly affecting the opponent. I mean, if he chooses to look at you and your sunglasses bother him, I mean, that's not the same as like kicking someone's feet or encroaching on their space or staring at them. No, I don't know. Sunglasses, I could kind of see some people complaining about it, but yeah, I don't see that could be really a problem. I'm not sure how much benefit like wearing sunglasses is gonna have. You know, if you got a player like Tal who's staring at you constantly, that's what Benko did actually. Paul Benko, the Hungarian grandmaster, had such a problem with Mikhail Tal that he actually wore sunglasses at the board. Alright, so Kyrgios plays pretty well against the King's Indian. I think I'm going to avoid that. It's like in poker, exactly. I don't think, and I don't know, maybe some specific tournaments forbid like wearing sunglasses, but I never really was at one. I don't see how it could be a bad thing. Bishop g5 now. Move orders here are tricky. I think I'm supposed to play b6 or h6 then c5. I don't mind h6 because I'm willing to play a Tory attack with the knight on f3, or Trompowsky with the knight on f3. You know, if you want to do bishop takes f6, that's fine because you can't play the most aggressive setups for white with that variation. Now we have a kind of nice choice between c5 or b6 here. If c5, I think I played this against a long time ago. I drew a game against Tronkson, who's now like 2690. We had to draw in this variation with c5, I think. But it's safer to play b6. Queen's Indian style. This is the most solid. So c5 with the idea of queen b6 is good. More aggressive. And b6 is solid. You wear a cap during the games. You get upset when my feet are kicked to the dinner table. Yeah, I mean, I'm not freaking out if somebody accidentally touches my feet, you know, but when it's obviously intentional, as it was the case with at least 2 out of these 3 cases. Maybe Reverby was just nervous, but I was certain that Kreiman and Volokhin were doing it on purpose. Weak point in the position is b2. I don't know. You can play b6 there as well. You can revert back to b6. That's a very solid setup for black. Queen b6 is more adventurous. And b3 is a bad move, my humble opinion. I've seen pawn sacrifices here. You can play it like a Queen's Gambit accepted type of pawn sacrifice with maybe bishop takes f6 and queen takes b2, knight bd2. Kind of like a long-term Long-term pawn sacrifice. So b3 weakens a lot of squares. I'm not really a big fan of that. Not a big fan of saying I'm a big fan. I have a habit of saying that too often. It's starting to get on my own nerves. Imagine it gets on everyone else's nerves too. We need a new catchphrase. Knight to c6. I don't know where I got that from. Knight to c6. I could play d5. You could also play knight to e4, obviously. But I like the two bishops, and I don't mind if Kiriakos wants to double my pawns. I play this kind of structure a lot in the Trompowsky. I mean, b3 isn't like it's terrible, like he's losing the game because of it. It's just that it's a weakening move. It's not a constructive move. Yeah, so kind of remembering an old Capablanca game. Pawn takes pawn, pawn takes pawn. Knight h5 is interesting. I'm a little concerned I'm too far behind in development, though. And b3 does support c4. I'll give it that. It really actually supports the move c4. If you played more passively with something like queen c1 instead of b3, I could play probably some ideas of knight h5. CD, ed, knight h5. In general, this exchange is okay, but I don't like to make it without a reason. I feel like I misplayed this position somehow. I don't really have a clear plan. Knight h5 is still interesting, though. Looks dangerous to play knight h5. I'm dangerously behind development. Yeah, this position I'm not thrilled with. I thought I was good, but I was pretty harsh on b3, but it ends up being really useful to support c4 in this exact position. Black should be okay, though. I don't think that I should be worse, but when all's said and done, here, I don't think I have any advantage, and I have to be careful not to be worse. Did you play at the European Individual Championship where Badr Jababa and his friend showed up drunk and covered in their own blood? I have seen players show up covered in their own blood before, but usually it's like a car accident or something. No, I'm not allowed to play in the individual European Championship because I'm American Federation. So I really wanted to many times. That's one of the biggest drawbacks about not changing my federation to Hungary. You know, I could play in the European Championship. So it's kind of a trade-off. Which European Championship was that? Pretty random question, but interesting nonetheless. Okay, so I used up all my time. I played knight e4. It's a fairly lame move, but it stops his active development. He doesn't have knight d2. He doesn't have bishop back to g3 without me taking it. I'm not happy about my queen on b6 here. No, you just remind me of the time that Alexander Ivanov got hit by a tractor trailer and like showed up at the board at the tournament like he was just gonna play, covered in his own blood. It happened at the U.S. Open once. He just was gonna continue the tournament like it was totally normal, you know, to just play the next round after you just, you know, were almost killed and your car was totaled by a semi. That's pretty like serious dedication. But that's a little different. Although who knows what happened to Jabava. It could have been. But being drunk doesn't help, yeah. Lots of good anecdotes out there. Why didn't you change your federation? The great support of the USCF. Oh man, that's the reason. You know, the great support of the USCF. No, absolutely. No, because as a foreigner, there are certain advantages, and basically, I have nothing here. Basically, you know, if I play in a round robin tournament or something, that's advantageous to the organizers because my federation counts as a foreign federation. So I'm kind of an asset to tournament organizers here. Kyrgios playing like a genie. I'm a little nervous about my king still being in the center in this queen's gambit type position. Looking for like piece sacrifices on d4, but I'm not seeing it. Wow, c5. I guess I won't be well, I think now it's definitely, I was thinking about this earlier, but now it's like really strong. So I have g4 and knight takes d4. Whew. This is brutal. Standard sort of weak point in the pawn structure. I actually liked white's position until the very end here. But he wasn't quite incisive enough. Obviously c5 is probably a mistake. There's clearly a big mistake. Yeah, Alexander Ivanov has a habit of doing crazy things like that. There was the time that he froze his leg in Arkhangelsk and then played the whole Aeroflot Open with frostbite. Ooh, I missed a brutal move there. Man. Yeah, Kyrgios played... Oh, this is just devastating. I wasn't real happy with the way this started out. We were kind of lagging in development and passive, but it all turned around. Some people are that hardcore that they're going to play the game no matter what happened. Once my car got stolen, and it was very disturbing. I ended up playing the game anyway. 5 minutes after finding out that my car was stolen. I mean, that was devastating enough for me to be sufficiently distracted. I don't need to be like hit by a car or, you know, almost die or something. You know, other people, like, you know, they're gonna play no matter what. Yeah, the U.S. Chess Federation is not known for its great support of players. Actually, this is a little bit problematic for me. It's hard for me to break it down with those knights. He's got great knights. Alright, I was kind of hoping you'd see it your way. With queen e5, now I'm going to weaken this pawn on c5. I don't know what the best move was, but probably not knight f4. Although very tempting, I feel like knight f4 kind of made things easier for me. He should have kept this. Probably kept the knight taking on c5. Objectively, I'm winning, but it's hard to win when it's so blocked and the knights are on the board. It could take a long, long time, and white, black's a little overextended with h5, g4, so. Well, and there I thought you should, what did I think, actually? Knight back to d3. Yeah, we were thinking knight back to d3, I guess. This position. f6. f6. Anyway, I need to get the king in the game. We're just in time. Thank you for the game, sir. So a lot of weird anecdotes today, but it's fun. Fun to talk about them. I don't really know Jabava. I didn't hear about that story. Okay, chess players do a lot of crazy things. Sure, we could fill a boat with weird drunken anecdotes. Knight to f3 is a move we don't face very often here, Tomoko. This is kind of fun because I get just e4, d4 most of the time and not a lot of flank openings. So, and of course we got our moderator who plays f4 against me all the time. But it's nice to see a flank opening for a change. We'll get it occasionally. Actually, I've been playing a lot of c5 and I wanted to play more hedgehogs. Oh, yeah, here's an interesting move. I remember 2 years ago when I played with Gelashvili, he played this move and I was psychologically devastated. When he played b5, I was like, what do I do? What do I do here with white? I don't even know how to equalize after b5. So I think the b5, Gelish really played like a genius against me. This is a good move. This particular move order for black. I think that this type of b5 formation is totally valid for black. It's not that great objectively, but against me it was very effective because I never really play like the normal kind of King's Indian attack type positions. I ended up playing like an idiot and losing really, really fast. We can also transpose to these strange sort of positions that arise after like c3 and d4. I think this is one of white's best reactions. c3, d4 here. But you see that a lot, like positions with, say, d4, knight f6, knight f3. Yeah, d4, knight f6, knight f3, g3, b5. That's a typical annoying variation also. For those of you who play like d4, knight f3, g3. You guys talking about Hungarian Trabant from like? No, I'm talking about when I was living in America. I wouldn't sweat the Trabant getting stolen. But Trabants, are Trabants Hungarian? Are you sure about that? Are they actually made in were they actually made in Hungary? It's a good question. I wasn't sure about that. Maybe. Now c3 here. It's tricky move order, but actually, we never played this. I have 1-0 against this guy. Well, c3. I guess I should preemptively like defend b5 again. This is probably not a bad move. These are weird positions though. East Germany, thank you. I knew there was something. Of course, I'm not implying that necessarily Euro and believed that they were made in Hungary, but the way his sentence came out, I was like, wait a minute, Trabants are not made in Hungary. It was like a Hungarian Trabant. I was like, wait a minute. Right. Yeah, East Germany. So Queen B6. No, I had a car stolen in Philadelphia. Where else would you have a car stolen? It's the car theft capital of the United States. Along with the city where I was born, Camden, New Jersey. That's where they found it, actually. It just followed me to my birthplace. I got it back. The wonderful Camden, New Jersey. So, a city where yours truly was born. D4. Should I take, or should I just play like E6 here? What's wrong with E6? That's the question we have to ask ourselves. Nothing I can think of is wrong with E6. And it seems better than trading on D4. But I've had more than one car stolen. I had a car stolen in Boston too. So car theft is pretty rampant. Of course, now there's more modern stuff. This is back in the 90s, 2000. Yeah, I had to like go into Camden and get the car back because the police didn't want to go there. They found the car and then told me like where to go and get it. That's American law enforcement for you. We're not even going to like try to prosecute the person who stole it. We're just going to like tell you where your car is, and then you can go and then go get it back yourself, you know. So that was a fun adventure. Bishop E3. Okay, that's kind of a suspicious move. Because why is it suspicious? Suspicious. It looks awkward in front of the pawn on E2. I have knight G4 or knight D5. Knight D5, let's say. Knight G4, maybe. But that move is a non-constructive move, knight G4. I guess I'm better off playing like D6. Trying to keep a kind of smooth structure. Anyway, we had an interesting chat today, guys, about all kinds of random stuff. Do you have a car in Hungary? I don't have a car in Hungary. I would have a car in Hungary, but living in Budapest, I think the transportation system is actually probably better than it was in Boston. A little more, like usable. Although it's getting worse, it seems like. I don't really like, I've had a car in the city. I don't really like having a car. And living in a city and having a car is really annoying. Wow, B4. Super bizarre. Yeah, this is very unclear now. I shouldn't have allowed D5. I don't know what I could have done, though. Probably, I didn't really have a choice. I probably didn't have a choice, actually. All right, so D5. Do we go to C7? Yes. This guy's trying to kill me. This position is probably good for white. Tomoko, I don't know where he's from, but he's playing Germany. Wow. I thought there he might have a more aggressive move, but this is good enough, I guess. Looks like white is just better here. I really need to get developed. Very concerned about the e6 pawn in this position. And queen d7 is extremely awkward. White is better, hanging pawns in the center. Quite a really unnatural sequence, like bishop e3 now. He played a fantastic game, man, and now finds knight e5. Wow. I guess I should have put my queen on c7, huh? I didn't see that. So Tomoko is quite the tactical-minded player, like finding these b3 unnatural but scary tactical possibilities. b4, bishop e3, knight e5, sort of upsetting the equilibrium. He likes to make unexpected moves. Maybe he had something instead there after queen c7. But I guess perhaps a knight e5 just a takes b, a takes b5 maybe. Unclear. Now it looks like I'm okay, but it was very, very dangerous there, and it's still dangerous. Yeah, I'm probably not okay here. There's this constant threat to take on b5. He said good call. I'm not sure if he was talking about b takes a or what, but I'm lucky I'm still alive here. I don't like my structure. I don't like this pawn on e6. Running out of time. That's sort of random. All right. We are pretty uncomfortable here. What? What is going on? He's like moving instantly. Oh my God. He's commentating during the game. $1,700. Wow. It's pretty impressive, Tomoko. Chef Masta is 2,045. He's got a half point out of 13 against me. Tomoko crushed me. 1,700. Everybody's different. Interesting game. But I like the fact that you can commentate with like your flag hanging. Yeah, pretty amazing time pressure with commentary too. That's the thing that really does it. I mean, if he was really, really, concentrated, but he's actually typing in words too while he's playing. If not for the typing, I probably wouldn't have been suspicious, but typing in moves at the end is pretty hard to do when you have like 5 seconds and you're like 800 rating points lower than the other guy. We were trolled yesterday, for sure. This is very similar, almost in fact identical to the other game with, who was it, Kyrgios. Now if I exchange and play queen b6, we have almost the identical position. There's something to be said maybe for queen a5 check, but then the queen ends up misplaced there. I think I still have to do queen b6. Yeah, but if he was that good tactically, he should be higher than 1700. I don't know. I mean, yeah, 28 cent upon loss. I don't think that it's a computer game. I'm just not really understanding how he's 1700 on lichess if he calculates that fast. Pretty surprising. You should be more like 2100. I mean, if you can calculate that quickly. Or you'd have to be like horrible strategically. If you were just absolutely the worst strategic player in the world, and you combine that with Tomoko's tactical vision and the speed, he'd have to be like the worst strategic player in the world to have a 1700 rating on lichess. But he's like typing in good call. What does that mean exactly? Knight takes d4 is a strange move. Why not recapture with the pawn here? But normally when people are like typing in chat while I'm playing with them, they're people who are like trolling me. So knight takes d4. Another player who played b3. But I think if we look at the Kyrgios game, e takes d and the plan of playing c4 makes more sense. In the position we have right here, I think this is more of a concrete kind of waste of time, weakening. In the other line where he could support c4 and build a kind of hanging pawn center, it made more sense. E5. It's very difficult to choose here. I have knight takes d4, e5, e6, bishop d7. Probably that's not a bad move either. It's difficult to decide, basically. The problem is knight takes d4. He could take with the queen, or he can also play pawn takes d4, queen a5, check c3, and I can't take on c3 because of queen d2, I think. Pinning my knight to my queen. Unless I'm missing something. So I burned a lot of time here. I hate making this exchange. Queen a5 check doesn't help me. And we'll just play almost identical now to the other game. The bishop sack at the end was too suspicious, Lord Alamo. Yeah, I'll have a look at the game afterwards. I didn't really suspect Tomoko of using an engine, but you never know. It would be more like a situation where I would expect somebody to have like a friend playing on their account or something. C4. White is better again. Almost the same exact game. What to do? White is better again. Rook C8. Looks like I'm dreadfully behind development here. The placement of the queen always becomes a problem. Maybe you have to do G5 once again. Sort of a disgusting move. I'm running out of time. Really, really gross positional move to have to make G5, but it's the same thing as last game with the D4 pawn. It's almost like an instant replay of the other game. Same thing, long diagonal. Rook on A1, dark squares, D4 pawn. There's no way to defend it. Yeah, Tomoko, the only thing that surprised me, why isn't your blitz rating higher if you can crush me like that? You just got lucky this game? I was actually, you know, I see players like that, but they're usually like 2100 or something to that effect. At least low 2000s. We had a guy on my chess team here in Hungary who's, well, even his over the board rating was like 2100, yeah. I mean, it's I should take this probably, right? First. Get this out of the way. I mean, very few people who are under 2000 are going to crush me. But it looked like after bishop e3, I was worse the whole game. And then I was thinking I was okay. But you found a lot of moves very quickly in the time scramble there. A lot of good moves. And definitely it's a little suspicious, but I'm not going to run around accusing you of being a computer or something. But you play better than your rating by a long shot. Queen takes d4 check. Chef Masta coming apart. We got kind of lucky. He missed queen b4, obviously. You know, that's an easy move not to see. But instead of, what did he do? c4. Let's see. Bishop. I got to watch the clock here. But bishop d7, c4. Yeah, I mean, g5. It's. I wonder if he could play f3 after. You know what? I mean, that's interesting. g5, f3, takes. G5, F3 takes. I guess I can win a pawn there. Alright, flag is hanging. Checking castle, and I think white's in trouble. Also similar to the other game, the fact that I like win the exchange, and the pawn hangs on c5. But I want to break up. I got to break up the structure here. Bishop a4 is key component of this concept. Maybe rook c7 followed by doubling up. Looks good. We'll put endless pressure on the c5 pawn. Yeah, when you guys get me into a technical situation, that's when you're in trouble, because I find technical moves very quickly. In the position against Timoko, it was pretty messy, and I was worse. And the kings were both. My king was exposed. It's much harder for me to find moves quickly. If it involves a position where my king is in danger, I'm not as comfortable. This is a nice move. Pawn takes pawn. But this is a lost ending for white. No pass pawn to speak of for white, and no real compensation. The rook's very powerful. I'm going to start collecting stuff. I could play f6 here. Just don't lose on time. That's the only thing I can really do wrong. Losing on time. Wow. Now I have this. This duo starts to look good. We do have passed pawn. I want to get rid of these potentially dangerous visitors on the queen side. There's no hurry with these guys. Alright, thank you for the game. M47, Saddest Troll is challenging me to another game. Oh, that's like a... Okay, Saddest Troll, what is that? What are you doing? What are you doing? Is that a correspondence game? You're challenging me too. Welcome everybody to my stream, International Master William Paschall. Bronx Defense said there's more than a 75-point difference between USCF and FIDE. I don't know. I'm not really playing lately in the USCF tournaments, so it's always changing. But I'm not sure anymore, Bronx Defense. I mean, there's always at least 50, and at some points it seems like it's been higher, like 75 or more. I'm not really sure. You know, if you're playing like in tournaments now, you might be able to say, but the rules have changed a lot. FIDE has also changed its rules. Bronx Defense. You know, you've got to take in consideration that FIDE recently changed the rating system. This is a pretty weird move by me. Changed the rating system to make young players under a certain age have a higher K factor. So I think you're going to start seeing a lot more inflation in the FIDE ratings. That whole thing might disappear because of the FIDE decision to make players under whatever age have a high K factor. Now they're just like getting these enormous ratings, and then a lot of the times these kids who get these enormous ratings lose a bunch of points, and those points have to go somewhere. So I'm thinking that the FIDE has just inflated its rating system pretty significantly with this decision to have like different K factors for players, and it's only going to create like a lot of rating inflation, I think, in the end. You know, little kids will get like a 2300 rating when they're really like 2100, and then those 200 points are going to get lost to somebody till they finally get like establish their real rating, and somewhere, you know, the 200 points are floating around. So although the USCF has been inflated compared to FIDE in the past, I don't know, you know, after this change in policy by FIDE, that may cease to be the case. Okay, so now we're on our own. I've seen this played, my first tournament game ever was this position. Ironically, I thought I was playing the Queen's Indian defense, but I didn't realize that you can't play the Queen's Indian defense against Knight C3, or I just screwed it up. You know, the move order. I was playing in my first tournament, and that game was a draw. My first tournament game. You're about 1850 on lichess. And what? Classical, there's 75 points. Max difference above 1750. I only played the 20-30 games over the board. Now Queen C2. Oh, this is kind of interesting. It almost transposes. I think I'm supposed to play D5. And Queen C2 is a good move. That's one of the best moves. The other move is F3. And I guess I'm supposed to like play D5 here. E6. After E6, followed by Bishop B4. And then E5. Pretty much. E6, Bishop B4. Maybe E6, E4, Bishop B4, Bishop D3 is better. The best for white, actually. So I think I'm supposed to play this. Okay, I'm completely on my own here. I just know that there are some people who have played this opening. It's really rare. Van Wely lost this position against a guy. I can't remember his name. Maybe you guys know the guy. It's an American, a youngish American IM. I think he was living as a student in Boston in the last 10 years. He actually beat Van Wely in the National Open 5 or 6 years ago. Before Van Wely got banned from the United States. He actually beat Van Wely. I can't remember the guy's name. I never met him. It's a younger guy. But that's pretty insane to play this against Van Wely. But it's hard to take Van Wely, like a theoretical player like that, by surprise. So it was probably a good choice. Now E4. But I mean, basically here now we have what is effectively a Queen's Indian Petrosian system without the move A3. So like a slightly better Petrosian system. Black does have other options instead of playing E6 probably. We could try to play G6 or E5 or something. I don't see how E5 looks sound. And G6 just looks like a bad Brunfeld. So I'm gonna play solid chess. What's that? Fake BMN? Around 1850 on lichess, and I don't understand. And my wall would be 2100 ELO players. There's no way a 1450 would beat a 2000 ELO player 40% of the time. Of course not. He like 10% of the time would be a lot. What's the delay for William? You mean delay? Is it 3 minutes? I think it's 2 minutes. No, there's no delay here. Knight F3. Knight D7. Knight D7 or Bishop E7? I wouldn't have been suspicious of Tomoko, honestly, except for the fact that he started commentating at the end. That's really weird, man. I mean, the game wasn't even, like, finished. But whatever. Well, let's let that. I lost a game. He played really well. We don't have to suspect everyone of cheating. I will occasionally lose. If I play a blitz tournament with like 20 people who are low rated, I'm probably going to lose a game. I mean, it's very possible I'll lose a game. I used to play blitz tournaments like at the chess club, say 20 round blitz tournament. I would occasionally lose to players who are like 1700, 1800. Not very often, but it happened. But never lower than that, you know. I mean, and that's the USCF. So the lowest rated guy who ever upset me would have been like around 1700. You know, on lichess that would equate to something like 1900, 1800 at the bottom. So that's a very, very major upset, I think. White has a good game here. Delay is 30 seconds, judging by the actual clock times and what we see on the stream. Yeah, I don't know what the delay is set on. I think what you see on the stream could be... For some reason, I thought I had a 2-minute delay, but it can't be a 2-minute delay. So c5. I could castle here. Then e5 looks pretty strong. I think I should play this first. Obviously, if you're playing like poker, it's very important to have a delay. With chess, not so much. Bishop e3. I've been playing a little bit slow today, honestly. That's one of the reasons. Maybe my play wasn't so good against Tomoko, but I didn't really take him that seriously. And when he played bishop e3, I thought, okay, this is just a fishy move. And then when he played b4, I was like, well, something's going on here, but it's just whatever. And then he played d5, and I'm worse. Bishop e3, castles. Yeah, this looks fairly solid for black. I think that I'm out of the woods. I'd be really concerned against a strong GM here that I might get tortured. But against an average player, I feel like I can hold a draw. Winning is another matter altogether, of course. White would have to play badly to lose in this kind of position. I also played the Petrosian Queen's Indian sometimes. I mean, White has the advantage of not having this pawn on a3. It's absolutely good. The pawn on a3 is a huge target. It creates like more weak squares. You know, it would be hanging constantly to the bishop on e7. That's a huge problem for White in the main lines of the Petrosian Queen's Indian. So, of course, sometimes White plays like a4, a5 to break up the queen side. e5, yeah, this is a professional move. A lot of people don't want to do that because it's kind of inflexible. But I kind of agree with Malitz here that he's killing my knight on d7. Although there's something to be said for taking on f3. I think I end up, you know, kind of getting tortured for the rest of my life if I do that. So h6 allows sacrifices on h6. Looking kind of scary sometimes. Or g6, weakening the dark squares. Not really a pleasant choice for black here. Not a pleasant choice. The h6 sacrifices look really, really dangerous to me. I mean, he does open up my bishop on b7. The problem is it's difficult for me. It's really difficult for me to coordinate the other pieces. You know, what else can I attack with besides the bishop on b7? How can I get my other pieces in the game? And then there's always like the proverbial trapping the exchange theme. That happens in the Panov a lot. Bishop h6, bishop b5. Not to give away too many hints here. Well, I mean, it's been a long time since I lost a rated game on lichess to somebody when I'm really concentrating under 2000. You know, I mean, it shouldn't happen really unless they play the game of their life, or I'm really making like a brutal blunder. Even, you know, okay, and then tournament games are another story, but I have records against tournament players where, I mean, experts who are 2100 who I've beaten like 10 out of 10. So blitz is a different story. There's going to be variance. But talking, and my time use gets really, you know, bad. I mean, every game I'm like 3 minutes down on the clock because I'm mostly concentrating on talking about the game. All right, here we go. So the c file's open. You know, I mean, that's always the annoying thing for white in these Petrusian Queen's Indians. I would have gone with bishop h6 if I were him before. He's got to watch this square. But I have to watch that. I have to watch the square too. Because I could get hit. If I put a rook there, it could get hit by like knight e4. I wish my queen were on a8 right now. I'd be really happy with my game. But anyway, it looks like we're comfortable. He doesn't have knight e4. Maybe we just... he has another idea though. He has several ideas. Oh, he blundered. Why didn't you guys tell me he blundered? That's so sweet. Convenient and lucky. So I had to play queen b3. He doesn't even have bishop takes g6. So contrary to popular belief, I do see tactics. We're just not looking for tactics. I don't base my play on tactics. I base my play on positional strategy and then, you know, opportunistically, you know, tactics are like the execution of the advantage that we build up by accumulation of advantages. I don't play for tactics. Some players do, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but that's the only way I know how to play. Time. I'd like to trade some pieces if I could. Make some concessions for me, man. We don't play for tactics. Just for strategic goal. Centralizing my queen. for my next trick. I have another idea. Knight g4 may be a blunder. Alright. I'm just going to back off here. I was like knight g4. Then I suddenly saw bishop c4. And I started freaking out. Knight d7 is a really passive move. But I just panicked because I had no time left. I wanted to play knight g4. But the time started freaking me out. I'm just going to do nothing for one move. 94, that's fine. This is kind of a risky move, actually. Wasn't so worried about that. I was worried about some other stuff. I don't know if b8 was the best card. Maybe a8 was better. b8 has its points. Oh. Oh no. Be careful. This is going to get weird. I think you had d5 there. Alright. Interesting game. Satastrol, I don't know what the challenge is. Is that a joke, or you're challenging me? It's not a correspondence game. Funcode is challenging me to 6-7. Funcode, I'm sorry I didn't mention it, but the increment is too much. We're going to play geese. We have time for like 2 more games, maximum 3. Peanophobia is hosting us for up to 14 viewers. Thank you, Peanophobia. But I think he should have played bishop h6 and then rook e8, and I might have tactical problems with the rook on e8. Bishop b5 sometimes. Okay, we have to look at it, and let's play something else against geese. We played only e4 today, which I'm working on a lot, but we don't want to forget how to play the other things. English opening, d4. It's very important to be universal, because that creates the most problems for the opponents who have to prepare for me. I want them to have to prepare for like 4 different openings. Then they can't prepare as deeply in like one particular line. Actually, this is a mistake. I've talked about this before, but I haven't been playing the English that much lately on the stream. I should play d4 a move earlier here. It cuts down on black's variations. You can play d6 now. You can play this, which is like another variation I have to worry about, basically. But I think this is probably like the most fundamental position in the symmetrical English, and maybe the most important one. Black should probably equalize here, and there may be more than one way to do it. But don't really trust that opening I played last game. I don't know what it's called. Does anybody know? Is there a name for that thing when you play the Queen's Indian against the Nimzo? It must have a name. As I said, you guys didn't come up with the name of the guy who played it against Van Velde and beat him in the National Open some years back. It's just not a guy I know. Rook b8. We have probably faced this before. Bishop f4. Bishop f4 d6. Bishop takes c6. Bishop f4. Knight takes d4, bishop takes b8. Yeah, this looks pretty good. The question is, I mean, bishop f4 doesn't really gel with the rest of my position. Wow, I had this game with somebody else. Oh my god, I just forgot about it. But geez, we already had this game, or what was it? We already had this? Is that what happened? But isn't this following another game I had like a while back? Knight b5 and I trap your guy or something? Oh, knight b5 followed by bishop d6. Wasn't that it? What I didn't see the first time I played this position was this line. Knight b5, rook b4, bishop d6. And that's what I ended up like doing something else. If I remember correctly. It should be better for white. Knight b5. Whatever he does. Bishop b4, bishop d6. I mean, that's just something I looked at very briefly with the computer. Maybe like a month ago, you know? And for some reason, it's still in there. In the brain. I might have a better move. I might have a better move order. I'm not sure. There is the interesting bishop c7 intermezzo. Welcome everyone to the stream. Anyway, we're going to be finished soon. We have about 25 minutes left. I'd like to thank everyone for joining me. International Master William Paschall. We're here every day from Monday to Friday, 10 to 12:30 Central European Time. Also on Sundays, we normally do a simul at 6:30 p.m. or 1830 hours. And the simul's like for 25 players. Last week we couldn't do it due to a glitch on lichess. This week we should be back up. And I've also got a YouTube channel you might want to check out, Video Chess Training on YouTube, where we upload our streams and also other stuff. This position, I'm thinking it's too weird that we had the same exact game before. Was it with somebody else or was it against you? Do you remember that? I thought it was against you, Geese, but it could have been against somebody else. But I remember double checking. That's why you should always analyze your games, because I remember double checking after the game. I spent a lot of time on this position and I didn't find it, you know. Now, the question is bishop c7 or bishop to d6 right away. In any case, he may have some reasonable like exchange sacrifice or something. But bishop c7, queen e7, bishop d6 just wins for sure. So bishop c7, queen e8 would be forced. And then bishop d6. And then when he takes my knight, it wasn't against you, because I don't remember and I do analysis all my games. It is interesting though. Well, I didn't analyze any further, I'm sure about that. The question is bishop c7 or bishop e8. Bishop c7, queen e8, bishop d6. Rook takes c4. Bothers me a bit there. But probably shouldn't. I just take on f8. Takes on f8. Knight d6, takes, queen takes. It's probably possible to play either move. I hope. Now knight d6 positional bind. It's probably not enough. Here I don't know. I mean, knight c7 just gets the knight sort of trapped. He just plays back to d8 and you played that move pretty fast, Geese. I mean, you have 3 possible captures on f8. Bishop takes f8 was interesting. I mean, you may have played that move a little too fast. Guys, we got time for probably 2 more games, the most. I'd like to thank you for joining me, Saroche for moderating. If you want to contact me about lessons or training, usually I have openings available. If anyone wants to really work on their game, send me an email. My email is videochesstrainer@gmail.com, and we can work something out. Otherwise, any kind of suggestions for the stream or chess-related questions, you can shoot my way. videochesstrainer@gmail.com. So we've got the stream tomorrow morning and every day in the morning this week. We have... you didn't like bishop takes because of the long diagonal. I understand. I understand. I guess... but I thought maybe you can chop it off, the knight on d6. You're probably right, though. You're probably right. Pity to capture an undeveloped piece on c8, but it has a lot of latent potential. So, when the smoke clears, we are up the exchange for a pawn. In the native openness of this position, I think that should be winning. The 2 rooks look like they're going to be pretty good. There's a lot of open files here. Rook b6, okay. e4, should I go for it? He doesn't have any center, and this pawn's becoming backward. Do you commentate on the World Championship? I'll probably, yeah. Everyone who does that is probably going to get sued by some Russian court, so I don't know what that means, but well, I mean, it's hard to commentate on the World Championship because the games will probably like be hidden so that nobody can commentate it in real time. That's kind of an issue. Well, now I can just take and play bishop h3. Looks pretty strong, actually. Maybe not that great, though. I helped him a little bit with this exchange on b6. I'm not sure that was the best idea. Okay, we've got to build up the pressure. Queen here. I don't feel like he should be able to survive this position. There's just enough pawns on the board. So the World Championship, yeah, I'd love to commentate it, but the games just won't be... you won't be able to commentate it live. It's also going to be heavily bombarded by like 1 million people. So I'd rather, you know, analyze something else, to be honest. And I'm not a big fan of Karyakin. And I'm not really excited for the match, to be honest with you. It's better than a non, but it's not really. It's not going to be all that close, I don't think. It would be more interesting if it had been Caruana or Kramnik. I've been saying that for like 6 months now. So now like A4, fixing his pawns. This is a bit awkward, technical, but he's got to be careful here. Knight c3 stops me from playing rook b1, I guess. But he gave up his option to play bishop d4 and try to put pressure on f2. Check and go behind the pawn, or just like king g2. Probably prudent to play king g2. You know, he could have like knight d1 at any moment. We've got to be accurate here. I think it's winning for white. Not that easy at all. Oh, knight d5. Why knight d5? Not really sure. That's fine. I think that this exchange should be winning for me. But if not, you have other problems. Bishop c4. Rook takes. You had knight c3, you play knight b4. You should play knight c3. After knight c3, oh, it looks like bishop there. Bishop b3. Knight c3, bishop b3. You're still alive. Actually, knight c3, rook c7. Probably game over. It should be pretty brutal. I don't know. Bishop b3, and there's multiple threats. It's probably winning for white. FIDE Master Strength, where did you come from? I didn't see you on the list there. He's looking like he's gone up in rating a little bit. Okay, we screwed up some move order today. Oh, I tried knight f6, g3, b. That's the one game I lost, of course. Like the system I never play against the Jelishvili variation. Knight f6, g3, b5 is the one game we lost today. So we'll go back to our usual system. But FIDE Master Strength hasn't played. I don't think he's played in English against me. I'm usually playing white in the English a lot. I mean, I don't know about the legal ramifications about that, you know. I don't support what they're doing, and I think that it's wrong. I think it's bad for chess, and it's, you know, the whole world chess. You know, actually, on a political level, I don't really want anything to do with that, you know, this World Championship match. I think it's run by a corrupt organization. This company or whatever that's sponsoring the match is dubious. The sponsors are dubious. And I'm not really interested in watching Karyakin lose to Magnus Carlsen. So I don't mean to be the bringer of negativity, but just not my cup of tea. Yeah, I mean, if it had been a good player of the magnitude of Kramnik or Caruana, who really has a chance, albeit a small one, um, of beating Magnus, I would have been really interested. But Karawakin, Carjackin is, not going to beat Magnus Carlsen unless Magnus Carlsen contracts like very serious like viral pneumonia or something. I mean, I really don't think that's going to happen. Interesting position now, d6, and once I had a game with white in a similar position where I did like e5, they took, bishop takes c6, rook b8, and black had, I kind of like that. This giving up the central pawn, taking here. I tried that with white once and got my head handed to me, or had just an unpleasant position. So it's sort of deceptive, but I think this might not be good for white. No, I really think, like, in all honesty, the only way the Karyakin would ever beat Magnus in a match is if some outside, influence affected the match, Maybe WikiLeaks will come out with, like, some kind of emails about Magnus Carlsen. But honestly, barring that or viral pneumonia, I really don't think that Carjacker has a chance. But he has a better chance than Anand, because Anand's chance was 0. You can't really do worse than 0. I think Carjackin has like a 1% chance, or maybe like 0.5% chance of beating Magnus Carlsen in the World Championship. But it might be as high as like 1%, honestly. Whereas like a Kramnik or a Caruana probably would have had like a 10 or 15% chance of beating Magnus in a match. But Anand is 0, so we're going in the right direction. Somebody who has like a 1% chance is an improvement over someone who has 0% chance of winning the match. He doesn't have a killer instinct. Caruana. Yeah, the lack of killer instinct didn't help Anand too much either. Well, I mean, the dude has a certain amount of killer instinct to be like 2800, and I think the same applies. I don't know, man. I think it would be interesting. And Caruana has some interesting games in history with Carlsen too, and has beaten him before. So, William, are you familiar with Queen A4 here? Familiar? I don't think this is a theoretical position. I think this is just a random position. No, I'm not familiar with I'm not familiar with it. It's a very strange position. I mean, this particular move, e4, it's pretty rare, I would imagine. But I wouldn't be expecting there to be too many games in the chess database for this. This position is too rare. Yeah, I mean, it looks interesting to play bishop e6 and develop some pieces. We have so many candidate moves. Sacking the pawn, maybe? And bishop e6 is nice because it develops a piece, but it also puts pressure on the c4 pawn. If you want to play something active, but I had a million candidate moves there. I could have played bishop d7, maybe like queen b6. This is not a theoretical position. This is just totally random. I'm not saying that it's bad for white, just I don't think that you're going to find master games. It's just too infrequently encountered, probably, this whole variation. I'm not a big fan of knight takes c6. I said it again. Like an obsession with saying that phrase for some reason. Now, we can sack a pawn with e4. Then you just surround it. Probably here I need to find a good move. right about now. The Funk Soul Brother. We need a good move. Rook E1. We have Knight D7, feels a little passive. Knight G4, looks awkward. Process of elimination. E4, but he just goes Knight C3, and then what? The proverbial then what? You know, I think E4 doesn't help my cause. Knight D7, I guess. Looks a little bit passive, but it's probably okay. It's probably okay. We got to do something. We have a nice plan with this move. So, do you... Wow, Knight C4 was my original plan. There's also Knight C5 and Knight D3, which is pretty funkadelic. Also Rook C8. So we have a myriad of interesting moves here. Although Rook C8, Rook D1, I'm not sure I like that too much. So we probably need to make a quick decision. Knight B6. Alright, whatever. What was my big idea here? Well, I think that I have active play. Future suicide. Alien abduction, yeah, especially, absolutely. I mean, with, I know that, you know, like Kirsan is like banned from the United States or whatever, probably, but of course that's a serious question with FIDE in the picture. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all to see like one of the players abducted by aliens. That could definitely save Mr. Karyakin too. So we have lots of possibilities. Looks like black has a good game. We have a lot of pressure. I don't know if it's enough or not. Wow. Can you do that? Yeah. Interesting. Whoa. I thought I had E4 here. It's pretty unclear. What would Ilya Smirin do with black? It's like a Grunfeld, where all the pieces start raking the queen side. Bishop on E6, bishop on G7. I like it. I like it. Black is better developed. Smirin, whenever I see raking bishops in the Grunfeld, I think of him. Seen him do that to people. The really good Grunfeld players, they have a way of slicing up the white queen side. It's the only chance for Karyakin. Either WikiLeaks, alien abduction, or some kind of very serious illness for Magnus. Otherwise, he probably has like a 0.5% chance of winning under normal circumstances. Bishop H6. Wow, what a move that is. I don't know. I mean, everything's good here. Everything's good. I guess we win the exchange at the very least, or not. Yeah, we should win the exchange here at the least. Take and go back. There's another one where that came from. So now we chop that. Now we have to be a little bit careful. Probably have to play F5. I'm not really a big fan of this phrase, but I'm going to say it again. Yeah, we are winning here. Clear exchange up with a massive center. Did not work out well for FIDE Master Strength. I mean, the whole plan is kind of artificial of E4. Okay, here we have to be a little bit careful. It looks good, though. We can surround this pawn. Not the first time today, actually. we've gone into surround the c5 pawn mode. It's been a kind of theme of the day. We should blockade on c6 maybe. Doesn't really matter. Does it? c6, my rook is more vulnerable. So he's just moving back and forth. Yeah, that was sort of a silly move by me. Whatever. We'll just try again. Maybe I have to make a few more preparatory moves. King g7. Get the king off the white square diagonal. And then we can try to make progress here. This actually e3 looks pretty scary. Bishop takes. Pawn takes. Rook takes c5. No, I thought there you should have played rook e1 probably. Yeah, it doesn't look good. And always like keep it simple when you're playing in blitz or something. You know, don't give them any chances for yourself to make a blunder. So I like to go for the king and pawn ending. Yeah, better not to move that pawn. We just advance our pawns. So that's going to be it for today, guys. Stream over. I thought we might have more than one game, but that will take us to 12:30. So good games today. Tomoko took me out. We lost one. The rest of them were pretty good. Even that game, I was up a piece in the final position, but I think I was getting mated. I wasn't sure. FIDE Master Strength. Though I don't really like knight takes c6 and e4. Maybe you should play e5 right away, although I think the black should have resources. Okay, so that's it, guys. Napo said in one of his recent interviews he's working with Karyakin. He's going to need more help than that. I agree, Napo is getting pretty good, but it would take nothing shorter than an alien abduction to change the result of the upcoming World Championship match. We'll see you guys later. Welcome, and tomorrow 10 a.m. will be the next stream. Blitz in Classical Chess, Weird Wednesday, and we're playing unusual openings, gambits, and kind of fun stuff. So it's like a thematic stream where we play openings we wouldn't normally play and ask you guys to play openings you wouldn't normally play. We'll see you then. Thanks to Jeroen for moderating, and take care, everybody. Bye-bye.